You sending the text base, right? Then you are a failure or you have failed. Now, I do not believe that to be the case, but that is something that many of us internalize. Ashley says, this is me. I hit a glass ceiling that my current business cannot help me break, so I'm branching out to make a bigger impact. Exactly, right? One of the more challenging things is that we internalize that, and often we think that that means that we are failures, and that we don't necessarily, that we've somehow, we weren't cut out for this. People were right. We were right inside. The stories that we tell ourselves were correct, right? And we believe that that is a symptom of our failure and not an indication of our success. And a lot of this has to do with our perspective. And it took me like a couple of years of like sort of working through this, because I started to notice, especially in the last year with COVID, that there are a great many people that I know who had a lot of opportunities come their way that did not take advantage of those opportunities because it wasn't in the business that they had, like, I am doing this business and it's not that, right? So they're like, well, I can't take it because then people will think that I need this money, which means I'm not successful here. And so we start to get into like these stories that we tell ourselves about, how we will be perceived if we take on other areas of income, right? So I've seen women turn down tons of money and freedom because they were afraid of what it might look like on the other side. And initially it was just kind of, and myself included, by the way, me included. I had people offering me, hey, listen, here's some, can you come do some grant work for us? Or can you do this training course for us or whatever, right? And I'd be like, well, no, because if I do that, then everybody will think that I'm not a successful business owner. And then how will I get people to sign up with me as a coach? Because if I need to get another job, then, oh my God, right? And that was the perspective that I was coming at it with. And I didn't know where all of this stuff came from. I didn't even know that it was a problem to have that perspective because I thought that's just how it was, right? This is just how it is. If you're not able to make money doing the one thing that you signed up for, then you're not successful. The end, right? And that is a very, very damaging perspective, because it is the exact opposite of the perspective that people who have wealth make money, the rich folk, that they have, right? So like the people that you look at and say, oh my God, they're making so much money, or they have so much money. And I mean people who actually truly have wealth. I'm not talking about people who show on Instagram that they have a lot of money, but really are like drowning in debt. I'm talking about people who are actually making money. Okay. So the people who are actually making money, right? We look at what they're doing, and oftentimes we don't know what they already have going on behind the scenes and the way that they've diversified. So to you, it looks like one thing, but they have a whole different setup that's designed to keep them stable and making a lot of money. So you're looking at what they're doing and you're thinking that their stability and happiness comes from this one thing that they're doing, but they learned a long time ago to diversify. Now, one of the biggest problems is that if you think about that, okay, true wealth, and if you look online, you'll find that that anyone who has true wealth and freedom from their freedom with money, anyone in that position has diversified income streams. Okay, they have their retirement, they have bonds, they have stocks, they have real estate, they have all those other things. Now, for me, like, I'll be honest, I don't have a bunch of real estate. I don't have like 5,000 stocks, or I guess we might now because Alex handles all that stuff now. But when we first started out, we didn't have any of those things. What we had was $70,000 in debt to the IRS, and just chaos. We had chaos, right? But we built that over time. Okay, we built those things over time, and they come from, first things first, is diversifying your income as a business owner. Okay, not just diversifying your income after you've got the money, which is what, like, so if you're Warren Buffett, you can diversify in that way, right? But when you're first starting out, that's not how you diversify. When you're starting out, you diversify in a different way. And once you've built that up, then you get to diversify in those other ways. Because first you're just trying to do exactly what Mendy said, right? Mendy, you said that you feel like you can't get your head above water. And a lot of times that's because we're trying to get out of the water in, like, it's almost like, when you see someone in the water and they're like flailing around and you're like, oh my God, dude, if you do that, you're going to drown, right? You just kind of got to float. You've got to just lay there. And then the water on the pool or whatever it'll bring you up on its own. It'll take you, you'll just end up where you need to be. But as long as you're thrashing around like a crazy person, right? You're going to feel like you're drowning. You're going to panic and you are going to drown, right? So you're in the water both times, but one way you've got, oh, look, this is kind of chill. Oh, wow, the water's going in my ears. I can hear the fish, right? And in the other way, you're feeling around and really scared about what's happening. In both cases, you're in the exact same pool of water, right? So the key is to know the tool that you need. Oh my God, dude, remembering to just be is like so freaking hard for me. It is like the hardest thing ever, right? So the tools that help you get there are these perspectives that are different from the ones that we started with. So one of the things that I learned over the last couple of years in terms of in 3 specific activities did this. The first is paying down the IRS debt and getting rid of all that IRS debt taught me that I'm very good at making money, right? It proved to me that I'm good at it. People have been telling me that for years, but I didn't believe them. I didn't believe them at all. I was just like, even though money kept coming in, I still didn't believe them, right? But it made me realize that the problem that I had was not money coming in. It was money going out. Okay. Hi, Margie. It was not money coming in. It's money going out. I'm great at making money. Fabulous at making money. Shit at what to do with it once it comes in. Really bad. Okay. And as a result, I just constantly, it's like a sieve. Money comes in, money goes out. Money comes in, money goes out. Right. So that's the first thing. I needed to figure out, right? What is it? What are the switches that help to make people good at money, okay, making money. So that's the first switch that needs to happen, okay? That's what we're going to talk about today, is the good thing about how to get good at making money. The second thing that I realized was that it's also about the money. What do you do with the money once you get it, okay? So and I realized that I am not good with money once I get it. Alex happens to be very good at money once we get it. So he takes care, like I bring the money in and then it goes to him and I don't deal with it after that, because if I deal with it, we will never be able to create the kind of freedom that we're looking for, because I have a spending problem. Okay. And we know this, and it's not that I don't really want stuff. I just like buying stuff. Right. And so it's electronics, things like that. And I know this, and I don't really think about, it's because there's always more money, right? Because I've always been able to make more money. So I'm just like, there's always more money. So the key here is how to give you the tools that will help you to make more money in a variety of ways to create stability in your life, so that you feel confident in whatever you're making money in. Okay. Now so the way that this works is this is a live podcast recording. I'm going to basically not look at the screen. I'm going to be just doing the reading, and then, or it's not really reading, it's me talking, right? But we're going to talk about exactly where this comes from. How is it damaging, and what can you do to get good at making money yourself? Because a lot of times it's just one tiny switch in perspective, and suddenly you'll be like, oh my gosh, all these opportunities were here all along. I just didn't realize it. Sometimes the difference between between feeling like, oh my God, the world is my oyster, and oh my God, I suck, is simply just turning a little bit to the left. Okay. All right. So we're going to jump right in. I'm going to do the recording and then we will go. Okay. So where is it? Where is it? Okay. All right. Okay. So, alrighty. And action. Hello, and welcome to the Stop Shitting All Over Yourself podcast, the podcast where you come to do less in your life and make more money doing it without guilt. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that is really near and dear to my heart, and this is the idea of diversification within your business. So many business owners feel like they need to be really, really good at doing the one thing that they set their business up for in the beginning, and get really, really stuck in that space of, I have to succeed at this. I have to succeed at this one thing. And they tie a lot of their self-esteem, their worth, their value to that one activity. And as a result, often end up missing a lot of other opportunities that show up along the way to make money, create wealth, and freedom. So what we're going to talk about today is the idea of, like, where does this idea come from? How does it manifest in our lives? And then what can you do to get better at identifying the opportunities in your life that actually, like, that are money makers in disguise, right? Instead of seeing them as challenges. Okay. So let's get started. So, one of the things that, I feel like I really internalized from the very beginning when I was in direct sales was that I had to be really good at selling that product and only that product. And that if I sold anything other than that product, then it was an indication that I wasn't a good enough salesperson, or I wasn't a good enough marketer, or I didn't understand the business enough. But it was clearly a failing in me if I wasn't able to find all of my success and happiness in that one product. Okay. So I wasn't born with this idea, but it was reinforced there. So, like, before I started in direct sales, I tended to focus my worth on my job. So whatever my job was, I had to be really, really good at my job, right? So the idea that, but I was also good at other things. But once I started selling a product and really going into business for myself, I became very, very focused on that one thing. I started to sell all the time. I was always working, and I became very much a one topic person because that was all I was doing. At the same time, right, I'm being taught that if I'm not successful doing that one thing, that I'm a failure. So my internal messages and my external messages now kind of aligned. They matched up. And so for me, if I was not able to be successful selling those clothes, then I was a complete failure. Okay. And then I would start talking down to myself and bad things would happen. It just went down this whole spiral. And so you get these messages from a lot of places, internally and externally. But what I want to ask you, right? And so I really, at some point in this journey, I asked myself this question. I had to really sit down and think about it, was when I started my business. So when you started your business, right? Why did you actually start it, right? For you, like when you're thinking about yourself, like not like to help people, that kind of thing, which that's another question and that's going to come too. But like really, why did you start it for yourself? So when I think about for me, like if I go back to like, okay, why did I leave corporate and go into business for myself? It was because I wanted freedom of schedule, right? I didn't want to have to wake up. Like I wanted my mornings to be chill, and like I wanted a very specific type of morning, right? Like I'd been very chill, very relaxed. I wanted to be able to get up when I wanted, go to bed when I wanted. I wanted to have a luxurious day, like just kind of like luxurious in that I didn't have to be anywhere or like have to drive in traffic or commute. I really didn't want to deal with the commute anymore, right? Now, in order for me to have that life, right, I of course needed money. Okay. So if I'm like, okay, I want to have freedom of schedule. I want to be able to do whatever I want when I want. I want to be my own boss. Great. Okay. So then I have to have money. Otherwise I'm not gonna be able to pay for that life. Right. So I needed a specific amount of money. Now in the social strategy squad, I talk openly about how much money I need to make and what I do to get there. So if you want those details, you can definitely go to socialstrategysquad.com and get on the waiting list. And you can learn more about that. But, for me, there's a very specific amount of money that I need, right? So at some point along the way, though, even though I started out by saying, this is what I want freedom of schedule. I want to be able to play with the dogs. I want to be able to read and cross stitch and meditate and look out at the ocean or whatever it is that I want to do, right? That was my initial reason for starting my business. But at some point, that measure of success changed. And my measure of success was no longer that I wanted to live that life and that I needed X amount of dollars to get there. It instead became, I have to be successful at doing this one thing or I am a failure. But my original dream was not that I need to get to this place by only selling this one thing. That was never my dream. My dream was to have that life. Who cares how I get there, right? Like when you think about why you started why you started going to business for yourself, there was something you were looking for in your life. There was a lifestyle you were looking for. There was something that you were looking to feel. Are you feeling those things? That's a really important thing. Are you actually feeling those things? Because often what happens is we get distracted by the momentum about money making, about the community, just all the other stuff that starts to happen, some of which is good and some of which does not give us healthy ideas about money making. And so now we start chasing the dollar, chasing the rank, chasing the sales, chasing money. We get really, really fixated on being good. And we're chasing winning. Okay. We're chasing winning. It's almost like we're like, I have to win at whatever this business is, because if I don't, then it means so many things. Right. And so the thing is like, there is no winning in business, right? That's the one. There's no actual winning in business. There's just winning in life, right? There's winning in life, not necessarily winning in business, right? And when you win in life, it's when you're living the life that you want to live, which takes X amount of dollars, which you can get in a variety of different ways. Now, I'm not saying, hey, you need to do all the things, not at all. But I am saying that there are moments in your life where there are opportunities that arise that you may not necessarily see that would help to give you that freedom you're looking for, that you don't take advantage of because you're looking the other direction, because you think that if you do anything other than what you're actually doing right now in your business, then you have failed in some way. But what this means is that in order for you to feel comfortable doing anything else in addition to what you're doing now, you have to first know what it is that you really want, right? Because otherwise you're chasing something else that you don't really know, and you'll never be able to catch it because you don't know what it actually is, right? I've had a number of my clients, when they first start working with me, their thing is, I don't know what success is. I don't understand what success looks like to me. I can't define it. So the first thing is always, what do you want your day-to-day life to look like? And what does that cost, right? What kind of subscriptions do you have to have? What can you get rid of? What do you want to walk in the park every day? Okay. What things have to happen for you to be able to walk in the park every day. Instead of saying, I just want to walk in the park, there's an infrastructure that makes that possible. You have to feel like you're free enough time-wise to walk in the park, because you're never going to walk in the park if you feel like you're chasing the money, right? But if you feel like, oh yeah, there's plenty of money and plenty of time, then you will go take that walk in the park. So the infrastructure needs to be a certain amount of money that you make each month that allows you to take that walk in the park. But once again, it nowhere in that story does it say I have to make money doing just this one thing, whatever that one thing is. So the other area in terms of why you started your business that you want to ask yourself is, why did you start it in terms of the outside part? Like, what are you trying to accomplish, right? So for me, I had actually a whole thing written down about what I wanted, and then I said it much better later on. I realized that for me, I want to help women make a lot of money, right? I want to help women make a lot of money, and I want to help you find joy in your business again. And I want to help you feel and have whatever freedom that you want with the tools that I can offer, right? But that's where I ended up now. I started out it always started out with me wanting to help women feel amazing. I wanted to help women like my mom get rich, right? That's ultimately, if we're going to like really just lay it out on the line, I want to help women like my mom get rich, my mom and me, right? And so, but it started out with helping women find confidence, and then it changed into a couple, but it was always about women and women's success and women's, wealth and that kind of thing, and women's business education, right? It always ends up in that space. So for me, for helping women get rich, helping women find joy in their lives, helping women to be able to take a break like from the work that they're doing so that they can take time for themselves, like, and really value themselves and be okay with that without guilt. That's really important to me. Self-love, joy in life. But the business is a very critical part of that. But those are all parts of it. I want to help women find joy in their lives through business is one of the ways that I do it, right? So that was my other goal. Okay. So there are many different ways to get to that goal. It doesn't all have to be from one, like, it's not just going to be, I sell clothes, and so I'm going to make you feel, and then I'm going to train my team and I'm going to make them successful at business, which initially I thought that's the only space I can work in. And then I started to expand my vision, and I was like, you know what? I think I could help a lot more people. And that's when I decided to leave and try my own thing and so on. And then other things happened as well. And I'll talk a little bit about those, because those are the kinds of things that are going to show up in your life too. Okay. So, this is sort of like the position we find ourselves in. Okay. The position we found ourselves in is the position where we have that belief. We've talked a little bit about how we got that belief, what it looks like, how it manifests in my life. I want to encourage you to give yourself some time, meditative time, and think about how it manifests in yours. But now let's talk a little bit about what that means exactly, right? So, this idea, okay, of like, you got to do just the one thing. This comes from the fact that before the internet existed, and even now, I mean, like, it's all there now, but you really have to go looking for it. People didn't know how rich people got rich. Okay. People didn't know how rich people got rich. Like, people would suddenly show up and they'd be rich. Right. And the actual process of creating wealth and money and income and things like that, that's not something that we are ever taught. Nobody taught me that in school. Nobody taught me that in college. My parents didn't know how to do it. They didn't teach me. I have yet to have anyone actually teach me. The person who's actually teaching me the most I've ever learned about money, wealth, and creating these things, which is why I'm able now to understand how these things fit together, is my husband, right? So, but all of that time, while people were getting rich in the 80s and 90s, and we didn't know how it was happening because we just saw people getting rich, because there were books that were written, but like, the internet has given us a whole different insight into it, right? And the way that they got wealthy was by diversifying their income, right? Now, they did it obviously in their stocks and the way that they do it. But for us, we have different ways that we can make income. And a lot of that comes from our life experiences and things that we can do and other ways that we can sell. So for example, there are many, many different ways to make money online. Podcasts, you can make money through affiliate marketing. You can make money selling stuff. You can make money as a coach. But even more than that, right? Even more than that, forget about the stuff that you can sell, okay? What other things do you have that you have picked up over the years as experience that have value, monetary value to other people? So for example, if I'm to look at like what are mine, I have 2 degrees. I have a bachelor's in new media and a bachelor's in anthropology, right? I have tons of marketing skills in a variety of different areas. I am a really great grants manager. I know the federal grants system like the back of my hand, and I can do like, I can do a lot of pre-award submissions, grant submissions, management, financial management, research management, business management. I can do that with my eyes closed, no problem. I have a lot of leadership skills and training skills. I'm very, very good at helping people get comfortable with their sexual wellness and their sexual health and sexual play. I'm really good at a life coach, right? So these are all things that are skills that I have within me that are all viable skills that I can use to make money. Okay. And I can do any one of them at any time that I want, and I can make money doing any of them, right? Now, when I first started my business, Direct to Success, I started it because everybody needed help with Facebook ads. That was why I started Direct to Success, because I was at the direct sales company and people were having trouble, and I was like, Facebook ads, everybody needs to learn how to do Facebook ads. So I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to become an expert in Facebook ads and teach people how to do that. That's how I started my business 4 years ago. And now I actually hired somebody in the squad who deals with all the Facebook stuff, because I think that I know that I can have more value training on other things. So she takes care of all the Facebook stuff, right? So if you find that, if I now am teaching on all these things and I'm making money and living a happy life, have I failed because my original business was supposed to be Facebook ads, or have I not failed just because the business is still called Direct to Success? And so as long as it's still called Direct to Success, it's fine, even if I'm not doing the same thing. So you can see how this psychological game that we play with ourselves, where, I'm failing if I'm not done doing the one thing, it has its, little, there's a little wiggle room here, there's a little wiggle room there. But ultimately, it's just because it's a name, right? I regret naming the business Direct to Success, because I think it sends the wrong message to me. It makes me feel like the business itself is what is the value, whereas I am the value, right? I am the one who brings the value. If you sell candy in your boutique, does it mean that you failed as a boutique owner because you started out by selling clothes? Or does it mean that you've discovered another avenue where your audience likes to spend money and you're like, oh, great, I can offer this and they want it, I'll sell it, right? Should you not sell those things because it means that you're a failure at selling clothes? It doesn't mean you're a failure at selling clothes. It just means that you're a great marketer who sees the opportunity to make money and seizes the day instead of letting it bypass you because you have a rigid idea of what success looks like, right? So we do need to let go of this rigid idea. Okay. We need to let go of this idea that we can only be successful doing this one narrow thing. Otherwise, there is an element of failure associated with it. Like, there's plenty of failure to be had in life, but this is not one of them, right? It's so important to recognize that you are the engine. Okay. You are the engine of your business. You are the commodity. You are the genius, and everything that is inside your head is fair game for you to make money off of if you choose to, or if you want to, right? I'm not on this planet to make Direct to Success successful. That's not why I'm here. I have no plans to leave it as a legacy for anybody. Like, when I die, this business is done. Like, done. Someone else may want it. Someone else may take it. That's great. But I am here to make an impact. I am here to make an impact while I am here, right? No matter what I do, it's to contribute to the bottom line of my family, right? And it's in alignment with my personal goals and my personal mission, right? Then it is successful. Direct to Success is just a name of a company that I started, right? Everything else, it's all about how am I living? Am I living that true to myself life that I want to live, whatever that looks like, right? Why are you doing it, right? So if you're running your business so that you can leave it to your kids, right, then that's one thing. But if you're running it because you want to just run it as long as you can, and then, hey, you'll make money doing whatever else there is and make money doing whatever else there is, then why do you have to be successful at doing it the exact way that you first envisioned it? Like, what's the prize that you get for staying in that rigid vision? Because people change, hairstyles change, things change, right? We have to change with the times, with our audience. Facebook has changed so much in the last year. So we need to be able to adapt to and be agile, right? In that way. Now this is all like the woo stuff on it, but I want to talk about like just a little bit of the esoteric stuff, the actual practical stuff here. Okay. And I talked to you earlier about how back in the day when I was working in corporate, I had a lot of community. I knew a lot of people. And then after I started working for myself, I became very, very focused and started working only on that one thing, only started hanging out with other business owners who do the same thing that I do. And I became very, very one topic. I was recently reading an article with Simon Le Bon, and he was talking about how in the 2000s, I love Duran Duran. I love Duran Duran like crazy. I've been listening to them since I was born. I've been to see them 8 times. I've always had, almost except for one time, I've had the first 5 rows. Like, I'm obsessed with Duran Duran, but I haven't listened to them in like 10 years. In the early 2000s, their albums just became really, really bad. I didn't like them anymore. It was awful, and I felt so brokenhearted about it. But I read an article with him the other day, he was saying, when I was in the 2000s, because they don't think the albums were very good then either. And they said what happened was that we would be in the studio recording all day, and then I'd be in the car driving, in the cab driving back, and you're just like, my ears need a break. I just want some silence. And so you end up just complete silence. I just don't want to talk. And so now all he's hearing is his own music and living in an echo chamber and just kind of like inbreeding the music down to nothing. And so it became really bad music, right? It became bad music and stuff that people didn't want to listen to. If you are single-mindedly only doing your own business and not doing other things in your life, or like diversifying in some way, then you're not opening up new markets for yourself. So like, for example, if you are a direct seller, right? And or you have your own business selling jewelry or whatever, right? Or you are selling makeup, and you are like, you know what? I really loved it when I used to work in a library, and I really loved working in the library. It was so much fun. I miss the community. I miss this, but I don't want to work in the library, blah, 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 for all the psychological reasons. Okay. You're losing the opportunity to meet all those people in the library who will see what you're wearing, see your makeup, compliment you, and you'll be like, oh yes, here it is. And now you're opening up new markets, right? So there is when you kind of close in on yourself and don't diversify, you actually end up creating an echo chamber of sales, and your business will get smaller and smaller and smaller because of churn. So you have to work 10 times as hard to get more customers. Whereas if you exploit your other skill sets, then you're able to simply just find people as you're doing whatever it is that you're doing other than selling this stuff to make money, right? So what it essentially is you're creating multiple pillars of income that feed into each other, so that now you're also creating stability of, so for those of you, this is Dog City right now. Dog City. Okay. So here is the solution. We're going a little bit longer than usual. Okay. That is Kira, everyone. That is Kira. So we are recording this podcast live. This is going to be very fun. My husband's like giving me a face. It's fine. Laura, we can totally listen. It's great. This is real life, people. Real life. Okay. So, all right. So how do we get out of this, right? How do we get out of being in the echo chamber? How do we get out of being stuck in that position where you feel like you're, like if you do anything else, you've failed, right? First is accept that it's a belief system that you brought with you that you just don't need anymore, right? I purged 90% of my life when I moved out of my house in Franklin. Not just my physical life, but my emotional baggage, my guilt. I purged so many things from my life, because once you start purging things, you just can't stop, right? But it showed me that belief systems are like a great pair of shoes. You can have a great pair of shoes that you wear and just, buy the same pair over and over again, or you have them repaired over and over again because they're so good that you put time into them because they served you really, really well. And then other shoes you buy and then you wear them and they're great for a little while, and then you toss them out because they're just not right for you anymore. You don't want them anymore, and it's not a big deal, and you don't judge yourself for it. You're just like, oh well, let's toss out the shoes, and you never think about them again. Belief systems are like that too. You don't have to hold on to a belief system just because you had it once. Like we had a lot of belief systems in the 80s, like in the 60s, smoking cigarettes was very, very, doctors told mothers to smoke cigarettes because it was good for them, right? Well, we've discovered since then that that's a very, very bad idea. So just because we thought things before doesn't necessarily mean that they're true now. Okay. The next thing is to get really clear on why you're doing this for you, right? Not for your mission for the world, but like, what is your goal? What do you want your life to be like? Listen to previous episodes of Stop Shitting All Over Yourself, and give yourself time to marinate on what you learn, and write out what your dream life looks like. I write it out about twice a year, once a year at least. Sometimes I do it twice. I'm in the middle of writing it right now because I'm bringing things into focus. It's so important to make sure that you're making the decisions for your business and your life that are in alignment with what you want, and not with some momentum that you happen to be on, right? People change, okay? I used to love the darkness. I used to be like Madam Mim. Mad, Madam Mim, right? Love darkness. I hate horrible, wholesome sunshine. I just realized the other day that I love the light. So at some point I changed. I used to hate sushi. Now I love sushi. People change, and it's okay to give yourself permission to change. It doesn't mean that you were wrong before. It just means that you're different now. And that's a good thing, right? Nobody wants to be doing the same thing forever. Now, look at the list of skills that you've accumulated over the years. So go to womenofdirectsales.com, and there's a link at the top that says, this isn't just for direct sellers, I just haven't moved it anywhere. And there's a link at the top that says your skill set. And then there's a link also in the description for this and in the show notes. And that will tell you all the skills that you've accumulated as a business owner to give you an idea of what your marketability really is. And it is so much bigger than you think it is, right? Accept this. You might get bored easily, okay? And a lot of the stuff that you do in your business is because you're getting bored doing one thing, so you start doing another thing. The key is to lock down your business and diversify and find your entertainment elsewhere instead of doing all the different things for your business in general, right? And then lastly, don't automatically say no when you see an opportunity come your way that makes you uncomfortable. That's usually a sign that it bears a further look. It may still be something that you don't want to do, but at least give it the opportunity to like look at it and be like, why am I immediately turned off from this, right? Maybe a perfectly valid reason, but it may also not be. Over the last several months, I've talked to several women who had incredibly lucrative opportunities drop into their laps that they hesitated to say yes to because they believed that if they said yes to whatever that offer was, that it would be an indication of their failure. And we're talking about a lot of money here, right? We're talking, or in a lot of freedom. Like, we're not talking about, okay, this is going to be like, oh, you're going back to corporate and you're shackled. We're talking about people who they're being given opportunities that answer everything. They can live the life they want to live. They can have the money they want to have. They can have the insurance they want. Like, they can do the things that they want to do, right? But they were anxious about it because of the fact that they were worried that it would mean that they failed somehow, right? That they failed somehow. It's not. It's an indication of your success. People wouldn't be offering you money or opportunities if you hadn't done the work and laid the rails. Now, on the flip side, I've also spoken with a number of women who are tired of doing the same thing all the time. They're bored of constantly selling, or they realize that they enjoy doing the sales or whatever their business is now. They enjoyed doing that when it was a part of a more balanced financial diet. Like, it was great when they were doing other things and they thought that they wanted to be like 100% ice cream all the time, but they realized it's not giving them what they want, right? Others want to have stability of health insurance in addition to what they do. So like maybe, initially you wanted to bring your husband home from his job, but when you did, you realized, you know what, there is something to be said for the psychic equity of having someone who brings in health insurance. And that's really important. Like, Alex and I have talked about that. And over the years, we've never, even when we were like, because business ebbs and flows, right? And so even when we were making like, 6 figures a month, it still wasn't ever, he was not going to leave his job because that was something that psychologically we needed. There was psychic equity involved in that, right? Knowing these things about yourself, knowing the things that you really want. Do you need the stability? Are you okay with not having that stability? Do you want your husband home all the time? Whatever it is, right? Knowing these things about yourself lets you design your dream life very intentionally so that you can live with joy and wealth instead of mortgaging your present for a successful future. You can feel happy now in your business and your life and also have the future happy life that you want. Whether you're looking for another opportunity or one has fallen into your lap, the most important thing about getting good at making money is being open to opportunities and getting comfortable with that initial moment of discomfort, because it is going to you're going to feel stung. You're going to feel like, oh my God, if I do this, it's going to mean I'm a failure, or whatever stories that you tell yourself. The good news is that you're telling yourself these stories so you can tell yourself different stories as well, right? You have to get comfortable with that initial moment of discomfort. We're here to help you do that on the business page, where this podcast is being recorded live every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern. You can get there by going to manessa.com, or you can follow the link in the show notes to join the conversation for this episode on Facebook. Now, remember earlier how I said my mission was to help as many women like me and my mom get rich and live their dream lives? I said that earlier on. You can help me do that. Please leave a review for this on your whatever podcast app you're listening to this on. Please leave a review for this. That helps us get the word out faster, because we can change lives together. So let's get on that. All right. I will see you next week. And cut. Ow. All right. How did we do, everybody? Okay. Let's see. Okay. So let's see. Okay. Good morning. Hello from Colorado. This is actually what I've been doing. It's been, okay, we moved 5 months ago and I'm still purging everything. Good morning. Good morning, Amber. Okay. So, all right. So I would love to hear your thoughts on, let me just make sure. I just realized that we're streaming to 2 different places, and oh no, it doesn't do the chat that way. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, because, all right, can you post a list of all the places your podcast is featured? I'll go review them. Oh my God, you're amazing. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I can have Laura post that. Sure. Totally. Absolutely. You know what? I also don't know why I'm looking down there, because I have this amazing little chat thing on the screen, that I absolutely love. And once we move into like the proper studio, we'll fix it so that it's easier to read, but, it's super fun. So the reason why I wanted to have this conversation was because I've actually had a lot of people reaching out to me over the last year or so, who had opportunities or who wanted to go look for other opportunities, who are like, listen, it's fine. I love doing this, but I don't want to just do this. Or people who their sales have gone down because of Facebook, or because they just don't want to be on Facebook anymore, or because for a variety of reasons, basically. But whatever the reasons are, they don't want to do it full time, right? They want to do it part time. And I think that like there's this, I think once you get into small business in some way, there is a stigma that gets associated with people who go back to corporate, right? Or people who have diversified income streams or who do a lot of different things. Like I'm going to lay it out there. I do a lot of different things. I don't just do this. I do coaching. I do corporate consulting. I do grant management. I do life coaching. I do a lot. I do, oh my God, what else do I do? Coaching. Oh, I have the social strategy squad. I have products, right? I'm doing the podcast stuff, right? So that I can get into affiliate marketing more and what's the word I'm looking for? Corporate partnerships, right? I am diversifying all of my income. I'm making money from a lot of different places because I'm Manessa Konecki, who has a lot of skill sets. I didn't know the skill sets that I had at first. So you may not know the skill sets that you have right now, right? So what I would recommend is take a look at that site because I basically put together a resume for people who have been boutique owners, right? That it was originally done for direct sales, like back in the day, because I was like, I got annoyed with hearing that direct sellers aren't real business owners. And I was like, oh my God, for fuck's sake. Like, yes, they are. So I put all that together so that we could use that. Cause like, it's very diminishing when you hear people invalidate all the work that you're doing. And so I wanted to put together like something to be like, listen, you're doing all this stuff. Like there's a lot happening here. But go take a look at that because that will give you an idea of all of the skills that you have that I know you have just from running your business, right? So you've already got those. Add to that everything of the other stuff that you have done, right? Okay, let's see what we got here. The site is womenofdirectsales.com. And then on the very top, it's not a finished site. It's like literally, it's like a half made. So don't like it's, don't judge on how it looks, but the data is there. The data are there. All right, let's look at this question. Okay. Alrighty. Streamlabs isn't, oh my God, Streamlabs wasn't working. Oh my goodness, that's terrible. Okay, I'm 66 years old and I'm just tired of trying to make money and not having a life. I feel like if I take a break from my business, my followers will leave and not come back. So I think of failure all the time. So Margie, I want to ask a question, right? So this is a question that I want to ask. Are you enjoying your business, right? That's the first question. Are you enjoying your business? Because it sounds like you're not, but I imagine that you did once, right? So I imagine that you did once. So the question that I want you to go back to is why did you start your business, right? Because sometimes things don't work out. Okay. So, and I'm not saying things aren't working out for your business at all, right? But like it's sometimes things don't work out with a particular business type, right? So for me, when I reached the end of my career with LuLaRoe, it wasn't working anymore. Our relationship had come to a point where it was time to break up and it was time for me to go do something else. And it didn't mean that I'd failed and it didn't mean that they'd failed. It just meant that I was going in a different direction. Other people at the same time, they didn't feel that way and they stayed and they're still there and they're having a great time and they're excited and they're doing wonderful. It's right, not the right time, not the right fit, not the right place anymore. I slept around a lot when I was in college and when I was younger. And so it's a lot easier for me to look at the world that way, I think. Just so you know, like this perspective, it comes from like, I cultivated this idea when I was like my Blanche Devereaux days and my Samantha days. And then it's the same lesson that I'm now applying to business, which is the understanding that sometimes things don't work out and that's okay, right? And that's totally okay. But then what that gives you the opportunity, the first thing you might feel when you hear that is, oh my God, it has to work because this has to work. And why does that have to work, right? Why can't you be successful doing something else? So, because here's what I want to ask is, right, when you say, okay, maybe that's not what I want to do, what opportunities does that open up for you? And what opportunities are you keeping yourself from experiencing? What money are you keeping yourself from making by assigning arbitrary values to oh well, okay, this is this and this is that and this means success and this doesn't? Because the truth of the matter is that you made that up, right? Somebody made that up. This isn't a fact of life. It's not an immutable fact like gravity, right? Like this is not something that's like, well, this is just how it is. This is a story somebody told you once, you believed it, and now you tell it to yourself. You can tell yourself a different story, right? That's an important thing to keep in mind. So I would love to know, Margie, like what are some of I want you to sit in that space. I want you to marinate on what would you do if you could do something else, right? What do you love about your business? What do you not like about your business? And here's the most important thing. I don't want to hear, I used to love this about my business, but in the last 7 months, it hasn't been like that, because that means that you don't love your business. It means you loved what it was once before, and it isn't what you loved before. And I'll tell you, the other place that I did this is in video games. I played World of Warcraft for years. I was obsessed with it. I played constantly. And then it just broke my heart. And I've been back 3 or 4 times because I keep thinking once Blizzard did all of its, stupid nonsense, I'm never going back. But before Blizzard did its stupid nonsense, I went back a few times and I kept thinking maybe it'll be different this time. It was never different. We had like going back to an old boyfriend. The first 3 or 4 nights are great. And then you're like, wait, why did we get back together? We hated each other. that kind of thing. Okay. Amber says, I love this. I've always struggled so hard with finding the one thing to do for money because there's so many to do. Dude, you do not have to decide. You can do I do all the things. I mean, okay, I don't want to say all the things because of all the connotation on that. Let me rephrase. I have a few very specific things that I do. And right now I'm in the process of writing my mission, my dream, right? I'm writing that down because I want to have a very clear understanding of what is important to me so that I only say yes to things that are in alignment with my goals, right? And one might think that grant management is not in alignment with my goals, but when I was talking about Boss, there were so many things that are happening, people being overworked, because I realized that now that so many people are working from home, right? So many women are working from home, but they still have the responsibilities that they did before. They're now dealing with the same stuff that we dealt with when we started our businesses. So they're in the same boat, feeling overworked, overwhelmed. And yeah, they do have a steady paycheck, but I mean, when you're burned out and falling apart, it doesn't really matter whether you have a steady paycheck or not. You just feel awful and like a failure. We've all been there, right? So I saw another opportunity to help women not feel that way. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take it. And it opens up my market, right? So you just keep opening up more markets is really all it is. All right. Break the stigma of having to do one thing. It's antiquated, dude. This is 2021. I get bored easily. I'm not just going to do one thing. I'm just not. And the sooner you stop giving yourself a hard time about that, the better your life is going to be, because you want to do a lot of things anyway. So stop shitting all over yourself and just start doing them, right? Figure out and experiment. You may do one thing and be like, oh my God, I hate this. I thought I would love it. Mindy Hughes in the squad, when she left her direct sales company, she was going to be an urban, she has a degree in urban horticulture, and she was going to basically do a gardening business. And she started putting the whole thing together. And like after 4 months, she goes, you know what? I just want to enjoy gardening. I don't want to make money off of this. And I was like, well, then you don't have to. And she's like, you know what? I don't. And so so she does all the gardening. She just doesn't make money off of it. And she's happy. She's excited. She's doing what she wants to do and she's enjoying it. Just because you love something doesn't mean you want to make money off of it. I like cross stitching, but if I was going to sell you one of my cross stitches, it would cost you $30,000. I'm not going to sell it. I do it as a labor of love, right? But Sarah in the squad, she tried to sell clothes. She hated it. She didn't even so she was a direct seller. Then she went to boutique ownership. She didn't like it. She's like trying to make the boutique work. And then she's like, you know what? She comes to me one day and she tells me, you know what? I don't really like doing this. And I was like, well, then don't do it. Right. So she stopped doing it. She stopped trying to force herself to do that. Not a few months later, she's crocheting something. She's putting crocheting stuff on, like she's building her crocheting business, right? She decided she wants to build a crochet business. She starts doing the work. She starts going live about crocheting because she loves crocheting. She's doing the stuff. In no time, she has a wait list all the way into next year. She can't take any more orders. She's also teaches homeschool. She created a homeschooling curriculum for crocheting and is teaching for the Homeschool Academy. And she's now building other streams of income just because now she's like, you know what, fine, I'll do the crocheting thing. And then bam, it happened. You may be so focused on something because you feel like I have to be successful doing this one thing, even though you're not even happy doing it, that you may be overlooking other things in your life that will bring you more joy, more freedom, more money, more happiness, more everything. But you can't see it because you're so focused on this belief that you're like a dog on a bone. And I don't say this with judgment. I say this with love because I have been there. You're not alone. Like I've been there. My clients have been there. Like so many of us have been there. And it's so critical that we be aware of it, because in that case, the only barrier to your happiness is at that moment, it's your choice, right? You get to decide what you want to do. And then it's just a matter of the practices that you take to get yourself where you need to go, right? So like once you make the decision, then it's like, okay, where are the tools and how do we get there? So the squad can help you with that. We're closed right now. But you can go to www.socialstrategysquad.com if you want to, there's a link is up on the top right if you want to go and get on the wait list when we open up. So we can definitely help you with that. But it's also something you can do on your own by sitting down and getting really clear about what it is you want to do with your life. Okay. Sophia says, I am, this is me right now, even though I know better. I've stopped doing all my other pillars and just keep working. But I know that when I take the time to do the things I want to do outside of working more, sales come naturally and don't feel so forced is when I'm only focusing on my business. Sophia, that's why we talked yesterday. That's why I think you need a break. Like when we were in the squad yesterday and we talked about this, that's why I think you need a break, because when I get to that point, and when all of us get to that point, it really is like, so I think I liken it to Talon, like when Talon used to see something in the street or like see, he'd get fixated, right? And I couldn't break him out of it. Like it just, he just gets so like, whoa, right? And in order for me to break him out of it, I have to tap him on the butt, right? And like just, boop, and it just, you'd think that I like, pushed him off the sofa. I just with a little tap, and he'd freak out, but it would be enough to get him to just break out of it, right? And when we get in that space, it's almost like your hysterical kid. You need to give yourself space and time. But the problem is you don't have someone that's going to tell you. Well, most people don't have someone who's going to tell them. I am telling you that, right? Is that, listen, this is where you're at. I'm lucky. I have people who tell me that. So when they see me doing that, they will tell me as well. Because as adults, we need people who understand what's happening to tell us when it's happening, because we're not going to notice ourselves. Because when I was a kid and my mom told me I need a nap, guess what I told her? You're wrong. I don't need a... Right? My mom was totally wrong, but yet I fell right asleep, right? So you don't know because you're just like the kid, right? Just like me. We all go through it. It's not a bad thing. It is what it is. And so since we know that is how we tend to be, having a support system that will alert you and be like, hey, you're doing that. Like I can be that for you right now. I'm like, dude, you need a break. That's the important part, right? Hi, Dee Dee. Hey. Alrighty. Okay, that's how I am feeling. I need to make a bigger impact, not just entertain people. Exactly. And a lot of times these things that you're doing are stepping stones to something else. Like when I think about the past of my life, right? And I see where I am now, I see how every single thing was a step to getting me where I am. But the reason I know that is because I keep writing my dream journal, and every year I keep putting together like, this is my plan. So that, and I only started doing this like 4 years ago. So it doesn't take very long to get that level of clarity. I had that level of clarity from day one, starting to write the journaling, right? And I only do it once or twice a year. Like when I say journaling, I don't want you to think I do it every day. I wish I could do journaling every day, but I'm too unfocused and uncommitted right now. But the key is that with that level of focus, you'll start to see more opportunities, but you have to write it down. I'm just going to tell you this. There is no universe in which not writing it down is okay. You have to write it somewhere. If the act of writing it makes a difference. Now, if you're just trying to remind yourself of something, saying it out loud is fine. But ultimately, to figure out what your true vision is, you have to write it. Okay. Christy says, I feel like I slept around with different jobs. Dude, hey, no judgment here. No judgment at all. Okay, I know I'm doing it because I get nervous of Binter, which is my husband's work will slow down and I can't go to any events. So I feel like I have to ramp up and double down and fall. And what you're doing by that, Sophia, is you're creating more tension to yourself, right? And once again, all I'm hearing is you're still focusing on the one thing, the one business, right? And that's why you need the break, because you are missing out on opportunities to make more money doing a variety of other things, because this is where your vision is, right? You can't, if you're looking like this, you could literally be walking next to a diamond mine and you would not see it because you've got tunnel vision, right? How many of you are walking in a diamond mine and don't know it because you're not releasing the blinders, right? Okay. Alrighty. I'm at an age where I don't want to stop what I'm doing and start doing something else. I love what I do, but I feel like it's taken over my life. Okay. So Margie, when you say you feel like you lose your breath when you're taking a break, here's what I want to recommend that you do. I'm going to recommend that you go to hustleproofyourlife.com and I want you to sign up for that course, hustleproofyourlife.com. That is going to help with what you're struggling with. Okay. Cause that is really common and you may not need to make as drastic of a change as you think. You're suffering from, I don't actually have a name for what you're suffering from. Probably burnout, overwhelm. There's a combination of things, but, I've seen it happen a lot. Like this, where you're at happens a lot. If you love what you're doing and you're feeling like, right, then that means that you are on, you know how Fred Flintstone used to or in cartoons, people would run so much that, and then they'd fall over, right? And then turn out, you're at the space where you're going to fall over yourself and you're going to tumble down. Okay. You're going to just tumble all the way down. It doesn't have to be that way, but because you said you're 66, I'm going to tell you bring a lot of baggage with you in terms of what the things are necessary that you need to do to be successful. What are the behavior patterns, that kind of thing. And by doing the Hustle Proof Your Life training, you'll be able to eliminate a lot of those. that, and some of those may be recent, some of those may be long term. The longer term ones are harder to get rid of because they've just been there for a while. But the ones that I train on are all related to email, Facebook, notifications, and your to-do list. So those are all things that should be more recently learned within the last 10 to 15 years. Do that, hustleproofyourlife.com. It will get you 20 hours of your week back, and then that's going to help you get a little bit more breathing room so that you can take a break. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so Crystal, I want to tell you about this. All right. So here's the thing about Facebook, right? You don't have to, and this is for everybody listening right now. So, Facebook does not have to be the be all end all. This is actually one of the reasons why I set up the squad. So thank you for that awesome setup, Crystal. In that, when you are first starting out in a business or like building the infrastructure for your business, you kind of have to use Facebook. Okay. And the reason why is because you already know how to use it. It's not it doesn't have a learning curve. Even though I know it looks like it has a learning curve, it really doesn't have a learning curve once you do it the way I train on it. It's a lot less of a learning curve than some of the other things you'd have to learn. And it gets your infrastructure set down. Once you have that infrastructure set down, you can actually not use Facebook at all. Like you don't even have to be on it if you don't want to. You can just leave it. We have a couple people in the squad who just don't like Facebook. The things that we're talking about today about diversifying where you make your money, like going into, say, teaching or, hey, I'm working in an accountant's office now or whatever it is, right? That kind of connections. That compensates for Facebook and actually will open up more opportunities for you faster than Facebook ever would. So it's totally a great plan. But you've got to have the Facebook thing in place first because you have to have a funnel to move people through that. Like you're trying to create a slip and slide so that, hi, my name is Manessa. I identify that you have a problem. Go here. Okay. So I point you there. And when you open the door to go where I sent you, so it's Manessa.com, right? You go to Manessa.com. You go to my business page and then you're on the slip and slide. So my business page will take you all of the way to I don't have to be involved at all until you come to a live or you sign or you join up to the squad, but until you reach out to me. But my whole funnel is passive, right? You have to create that so that once you've got that in place, then you don't need to be on Facebook. I choose to be on Facebook, but like Katie Gunther in the squad, she's barely on Facebook. Amy does a lot more external work and networking and connections locally, things like that. You start to find other ways to get people in, and Facebook just becomes a thing that's there and you don't need to worry about it anymore. So and that is why diversification is so important, because if you don't diversify, you are going to be stuck on Facebook because you're not opening up any other doors. You're basically saying, I don't want to be on Facebook, but I don't want to get another job or do something else. Well, then where are you going to find your people? Right? Like, where are you looking if you're not going to do any of those things? Because a lot of people say that they want to get off of Facebook, but then I'm like, where are you going to find your people? Right? You can send them to your website. Some people are like, I'll have a website. Well, that's great, but a website is a destination. You still have to find them. The reason why Facebook works so well is because you can find them and it's a destination. It's not doing so well with the finding, but you've got to have it as a destination and a funnel, and it will still do the finding and it'll still give you a little bit of finding, and it has all that reach and engagement that you can get. So instead of using it as a way to find, let's use it as a way to re-engage, re-energize, and continuously develop those relationships and find people using another system. So you can absolutely get off of Facebook. Nobody actually needs to be on Facebook once they've built the infrastructure. You can be on it as little or as much as you want. The key is to rethink the way you're approaching Facebook, right? And again, if you are someone who wants to do that, then go to the socialstrategysquad.com. So it's www.socialstrategysquad.com. The link is on the screen, but go there and you'll have to get on the wait list, but the blueprint for the whole path is there. So you can get started now if you want. Okay. Alrighty. Don't go anywhere you don't like to go, dude. Okay. Energy is everything. Oh my God. So important. Dee Dee says, I think I'd love selling jewelry. Today I was thinking of I was like, you know what? I would do Pure Romance or Athena. I'm trying to find if any of you guys know about places that sell sex toys. Direct sales. I may actually do it I may actually start my own business and just do it like on my own, but I'm exploring right now. I don't like the limitations that I think direct sales might place on me because I tend to be ridiculously open. Alrighty, let's see what we got here. You can always pivot, always. Crystal says, I don't catch all of your lives, but I feel like the ones I do catch are talking right to me and talking about what I'm going through. Dude, I'm so happy to be able to help. Susan says, I feel unfocused and sporadic. I prefer to call it organic progress. So Susan, I want to recommend that you sign up for the Hustle Proof Your Life thing as well, hustleproofyourlife.com. And the reason why is because the very first training, it's not very long, but what that will do is that will help you, will help you with organizing and like having a little bit less chaos. You will find that you have about 20 hours back in your week just by restructuring your day that way. And it's really super simple. I don't believe in making gigantic big changes in your life, says the woman who's just sold her entire house and got rid of 90% of her stuff. Okay. Aside from that change, I don't recommend it as a routine way of living life. I try to live my life in a way where there's only small changes. This change with the house is a very anomalous thing. But I try to do very small incremental changes because it's just a lot easier to implement. So I recommend trying that. Alrighty. Okay. Alrighty. Looking at seeing. Okay. Coming to the end. Alrighty. So LaFern says, okay, so Susan says Athena is my number one. Yeah, Athena seems like it might be a little bit more kinky than pure romance, which is sort of what I'm going for. But I'm trying to find something even more, so like pure romance and then Athena and then like more, you know what I'm saying? So let me know if you guys know about anything more. Okay, what about using Amazon? So affiliate marketing, Amazon doesn't really I don't like the way they do it. And I feel like if I wasn't going to go direct sales, then I would definitely go the route of doing it myself. And like, I would make it more of I'd have like a thing that I'm doing, right? Like sexual wellness and conversations and like education and like I would do it as a thing, and then my store would be sort of like a part of it. Like it's something that I'm really thinking about for my next chapter, but not right at this moment. Okay, alrighty. And you're paying the price for that. Oh my God, I am paying. You know what? I really want to say this before we wrap up. You're right. I am paying the price for that humongous change. When you make a change of this size, your body rebels. It's really hard physically. It's hard emotionally. Christy is absolutely right. I am suffering enormously right now, physically and emotionally, which feels so ridiculous to say because I'm moving to my dream house, so boohoo, but it's still a really big change and my body is still in shock. And so, yeah, I'm paying the price. And when we try to overhaul our lives in a big way, we pay this price, the physical price, the emotional price. And this is why a lot of times we feel so bad all the time, because we're trying to change so much, so many things, do all the stuff. It's just a constant state of flux. And that's so bad for us, right? That's why I want to help you discard things, stop doing all the things that you feel like you should be doing, give yourself a break, go to Hustle Proof Your Life, get rid of like all the junk in your day. It's 20, get 20 hours a week back, right? You'll get 20 hours a week back just by doing the to-do list and going, like, it's amazing what you can get back simply by making a few really tiny changes. And that gives you a little bit of breathing room, right? You don't want to feel like you're suffocating. And so many of my clients, when they find me, feel like they're suffocating. And that's what this is all for. It's to help you kind of give yourself some breathing room. You don't have to wear a corset in your business. You can chill out and wear pajamas. Totally chill, dude. Totally chill. Alrighty. Hi, Matthew Smith Undercover. What a great name. What a great name. You just have to ask yourself, the outcome is really worth the price that you want to pay. The dream house is worth it, but big reward, big price. Exactly. I wouldn't want to do this on like my day-to-day basis. Like I don't think the dream house, big reward, big price, big reward. But like if I was to just change my schedule like this every day, I'd feel like this and the reward is not nearly as high. So yes, absolutely. So good. So good. Alrighty. Okay. So, all right. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Matthew, this is not exactly that kind of podcast, but I want to recommend, that you, send a quick PM to the business page. If you have questions, you can send an email to hello@directtosuccess. Guys, I'll have Laura post all the places that the podcast is located so you can go and review it. Please, please, please review it because it will help us help all the women, because my goal is, as always, to help women like me, like you, like my mom, get rich and find joy in our lives now and stop feeling so tired and suffocated. That's the goal, right? So it's one podcast at a time. So if you review it, you make it more likely that people will see it. Alrighty, have